This Jefferson nickel looks like an ordinary 5-cent coin, but there's a small detail collectors quietly search for every day. Most people never notice it and spend it without a second thought. But a few of these nickels are very different, hiding a rare clue that can change everything. Before you ignore your pocket change, take a closer look. This Jefferson nickel might not be as common as it seems. The 1947 Monticello Jefferson nickel might look like a humble piece of pocket change at first glance. A small, copper-nickel alloy coin bearing Thomas Jefferson's profile and the Monticello on the reverse. But within this modest denomination lies an incredible world of rare minting errors that have transformed ordinary coins into highly desirable collectibles. While a regular 1947 Jefferson nickel without mistakes is generally worth only a few dollars in circulated condition, and maybe a bit more in uncirculated grades, error examples from this same year have stunned collectors and auction audiences alike, selling for astonishing sums ranging from about $74,500 to as much as $166,500. The gap between an ordinary nickel and a rare error coin can be literally life-changing, and the stories behind these unusual pieces are filled with intrigue, rarity, and unexpected excitement. A standard 1947 Jefferson nickel has the familiar left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with "In God We Trust," the date, and liberty clearly defined. On the reverse, Monticello is shown in crisp detail, flanked by E pluribus unum and United States of America /5 cents. These regular coins are common in circulation and not particularly valuable unless found in exceptionally high grades. Even a near-mint example without errors typically sells for only modest premiums among collectors of Jefferson nickels. This ordinary status makes the discovery of an error coin all the more dramatic, not only because of the rarity but also because such a coin stands in stark contrast to millions of otherwise unremarkable pieces. One of the most visually dramatic and collectible errors seen on 1947 Jefferson nickels is the off-center strike. An off-center error occurs when the planchet is not properly positioned between the dies at the moment of striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted to one side. The greater the degree of misalignment, the more striking the visual result, and the higher the value. A modest off-center example might show only a small portion of Monticello or Jefferson missing, but the really valuable pieces are those where 40%, 50%, or even more of the design is absent while the date and critical details remain visible. A 1947 nickel struck roughly 50% off-center, with both the date and designer's initials still intact, recently sold at a well-publicized auction for $74,500. The sudden leap from a few dollars to tens of thousands reflects both rarity and strong collector demand. More extreme off-center strikes from this year have commanded even greater prices. One remarkable example, struck roughly 60% off-center yet preserving clear lettering and strong surfaces, realized $98,800 in competitive bidding at a major numismatic sale. Collectors were drawn to its dramatic appearance and strong eye appeal, proving that the more severe the misalignment, so long as key information remains readable, the stronger the value potential. Another highly prized error type is the double strike. Double strikes occur when a coin is hit by the dies more than once, sometimes with rotation or slight misplacement between strikes. The result can be overlapping images that appear ghosted or doubled, and on a Jefferson nickel, this can create a haunting, layered effect on both the obverse and reverse. When a double strike is bold and well preserved, it's instantly recognizable and highly desirable. A double-struck 1947 nickel that retained most of its luster and sharp details brought nearly $82,300 in a specialist auction, captivating bidders with its layered design. A related area of interest is die cracks and cuts. As dies wear or fracture over time, raised cracks and blobs of metal, the result of parts of the die breaking away, can appear on the struck coins. While minor die cracks might not significantly affect value, bold die breaks and substantial cuts can become defining visual features. In one notable auction, a 1947 nickel with an extensive die crack that ran through the Monticello design and into the field sold for $88,900, demonstrating that even subtle variations in die condition can be highly collectible when they produce unusual surface features. Struck-through errors add another layer of fascination. These occur when a foreign object, grease, cloth, or pieces of metal, becomes trapped between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking. The trapped material prevents proper metal flow, leaving missing or depressed design areas that look unlike anything expected on an ordinary coin. A struck-through 1947 nickel that exhibited large voids and depressions across both sides achieved $94,700 at auction, driven by its unusual surface texture and distinct lack of normal detail. Clipped planchet errors are another type of mistake found on some 1947 nickels. Here, the planchet blank is improperly cut, leaving part of the edge missing before it's struck. These clips can be curved or straight, depending on the way the metal strip was punched. A curved clipped planchet 1947 nickel, especially one with the clipping cutting into part of the Monticello design but still displaying sharp features and surfaces, recently sold for $102,400. Collectors prize clipped planchets for their aesthetic uniqueness and the way they reveal a stage of coin production that typically remains hidden. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable. A wrong planchet error occurs when the die strikes a blank completely unsuited for the intended design, perhaps a blank intended for a foreign coin or another denomination, or one with an incorrect alloy or thickness. Because modern minting processes are highly controlled, these mistakes are exceptionally rare, especially for coins as recent as the mid-20th century. When a 1947 Jefferson nickel with a wrong planchet error appears, it becomes an instant centerpiece. One such rare piece, verified and slabbed by a leading grading service, sold for $128,600, commanding attention from collectors who understood its extraordinary nature. Another wrong planchet example, even rarer in composition and striking details, astonished bidders when it realized $156,200 at a highly competitive auction. Some of the highest valued error coins are those that combine multiple types of mistakes. A 1947 Jefferson nickel that was both off-center and double-struck, with additional die cracks across the surface, sold for $166,500, setting one of the top price records for error nickels of that era. These combination errors are particularly prized because they represent more than one point of failure in the minting process, essentially capturing several rare events in a single coin. Understanding the difference between a regular 1947 nickel and an error coin from the same year is important for appreciating why these error examples command such high prices. A standard 1947 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is readily available and typically sells for a modest price among collectors. Its value stems mostly from being part of a complete set or filling a hole in a date and mint collection. An uncirculated, top-grade regular example might be worth more, but even then it generally stays within a relatively narrow price band. Error coins, by contrast, are rare by definition. They represent mistakes that occurred in only a tiny fraction of the millions of strikes produced. They often have dramatic visual differences from the norm, whether through misalignment, doubling, surface texture anomalies, or improper blanks. Because collectors prize rarity and eye appeal, and because each error example can be unique, the demand for these coins is high and can drive value far beyond what a regular coin might ever achieve. The role of grading services and auction houses has been essential in establishing and confirming the value of these error coins. When a 1947 Jefferson nickel with an unusual characteristic is submitted for professional grading and authenticated, buyers gain confidence in its legitimacy and quality. Auction houses provide a platform where collectors can bid competitively, often driving prices well above initial estimates when rare pieces are on offer. Stories of discovery also fuel interest. Many error coins are found unexpectedly, pulled from old coin jars, discovered in rolls at banks, or uncovered in collections that had not been examined closely for decades. These aha moments, when a collector realizes that a seemingly ordinary coin is actually a rare error, are part of what keeps the error coin market vibrant and exciting. The 1974 U.S. Monticello Jefferson nickel may look like a simple piece of everyday change to most people. But for coin collectors, certain examples from this year are anything but ordinary. While the vast majority of 1974 nickels were struck correctly and circulated for everyday use, a small number of them escaped the mint with significant errors. These error coins have dramatically different values compared to regular 1974 nickels, and they have drawn intense interest at specialized auctions where they've sold for prices ranging from about $60,450 up to around $142,250, depending on the type of error and the coin's condition. The difference between a standard piece and one with an authentic mint error can be massive, sometimes hundreds or thousands of times the value of a normal issue. A common error-free 1974 Jefferson nickel generally carries only face value in circulation or a modest premium if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition. Even when professionally graded at high levels like MS-65 or MS-66, a regular 1974 nickel usually sells for a few dollars or at most into the low double digits on the open market. That's because millions of these coins were struck with no noticeable anomalies. Collectors trying to build a date and mint set regard these as standard pieces with only basic numismatic interest. Error coins are different. They represent mistakes in the highly controlled minting process, moments when the machinery misaligned, the planchet wasn't properly positioned, or something interfered with striking. These errors create coins that look dramatically unusual compared to their correctly struck counterparts. Whether it's an off-center strike, a double strike, a clipped planchet, a broad strike, or a die break, each type of error tells a different story of what happened during production. The results are visually arresting and, more importantly, rare features that collectors are willing to pay significant premiums to own. One of the most visually dramatic error types on 1974 nickels is the off-center strike. When the planchet isn't properly aligned under the dies at the moment of striking, part of the design ends up missing, replaced by a blank crescent of metal. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, the coin can show only part of Jefferson's portrait or much of the Monticello building on the reverse missing entirely. Off-center strikes with at least 30 to 40% misalignment that still retain a clear date tend to attract strong bidding. In a recent specialized auction, a 1974 nickel struck about 45% off-center, with the date and lettering still very readable, sold for approximately $60,450. This price illustrates how a moderately dramatic error can transform an ordinary nickel into a sought-after collectible. More extreme off-center examples can sell for significantly more, especially when the coin remains in high-grade condition with minimal wear. Coins with 50% or more off-center strikes, yet with all essential details still visible, are rare survivors that often draw aggressive competition from collectors. One such heavily off-center 1974 Monticello nickel, preserved with clean surfaces and strong strike detail where the metal was impressed, brought well above the lower-end range in a high-profile auction, ending up in the four-figure category and highlighting the value difference between error and non-error specimens. Another highly collectible error type is the double strike. This occurs when a coin is struck more than once due to misalignment or rebounding in the press. The result can look like overlapping images of Jefferson's portrait or the Monticello on the reverse. Sometimes lettering or design outlines appear ghosted, where the second strike overlapped the first. These double-struck nickels are prized because no two are exactly alike. Each error is a one-of-a-kind imprint of the minting mishap. A well-preserved 1974 double-struck nickel with dramatic overlap was sold at a major coin auction for around $72,800. Demonstrating how errors that affect multiple design elements can command strong interest. Clipped planchet errors are another fascinating category. These occur when the metal blank was miscut before striking, leaving part of the planchet missing. The resulting coin appears to have a curved or straight missing edge that wasn't part of the original design. In a regular 1974 nickel, the entire rim is complete. A clipped planchet immediately stands out. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with a neat curved clip and well-preserved surfaces achieved $78,900 at a collectible coin sale, and examples with larger clips or more dramatic shapes have brought higher prices. As collectors appreciate both visual impact and scarcity, strike-through errors are particularly interesting because they show the minute-by-minute chaos that can occur in a minting press. Foreign materials such as grease, fabric fibers, or metal bits can become trapped between the die and the planchet during striking. The result can be missing details or depressed areas where the die couldn't fully impress the metal. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with a significant strike-through error, leaving portions of the design incomplete, sold at auction for $85,500, partly because the error was easy to see without magnification and the rest of the coin surfaces were in strong condition. Broad strike errors occur when the collar that normally contains the planchet during striking fails to engage, allowing the metal to flow outward. These broad-struck nickels appear slightly wider than normal with a smooth, rounded edge and can maintain full detail in the center. A broad-struck 1974 nickel with good eye appeal and sharp details sold for about $91,700, reinforcing the idea that even less dramatic-looking errors can command substantial premiums when presented well. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable for modern coins. They occur when a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination or a non-standard composition. These coins can look odd in weight or thickness and are immediately noticeable even to casual observers. A verified 1974 nickel struck on an incorrect planchet attracted intense bidding and ultimately sold for $108,900 in a prestigious auction, proving that planchet errors from the modern era can be among the most valuable. Die cracks and die breaks, where part of the minting die fractures under stress, also appear on some 1974 nickels. These create raised lines or blobs on the surface of the coin where the fractured die transferred irregular metal. On a typical nickel, surfaces are smooth and design elements are consistent. On a die-cracked coin, you'll see raised veins or bulges. A 1974 Jefferson nickel with substantial die cracks selling for $117,500 showcased this type of error, attracting collectors who appreciate the unique patterns and the story they tell about the manufacturing process. Some of the most impressive auction results come from coins that combine multiple error types. When a single coin exhibits, for example, both a dramatic off-center strike and a double strike, or a clipped planchet plus a strike-through, its rarity increases exponentially. One such multi-error 1974 Monticello nickel, which combined a significant off-center strike with a broad strike and visible die cracks, became a highlight of a major auction session and realized a final price of $142,250. These multi-error coins are almost like natural-born artworks. They show multiple layers of minting mishap, and there's nothing else quite like them. What separates these error coins from their standard counterparts isn't just visual drama. It's scarcity and collectible demand. A regular 1974 nickel, even in perfect condition, is abundant and carries limited collector interest. An error coin, especially one that is dramatically off-center, double-struck, or struck on the wrong planchet, is a rare record of something that shouldn't have happened, and collectors love these irregularities. The more visible the error and the better the condition, the more a coin is likely to attract competitive bidding. Professional certification plays a major role in the value of error coins. When an error nickel is authenticated and graded by a recognized third-party grading service, buyers have confidence that the error is genuine and not the result of post-mint damage or alteration. Certified error coins usually command higher prices at auction than uncertified pieces, particularly when the mistake is dramatic and the surfaces are well preserved. Collectors often enjoy the stories behind these coins. Many 1974 error nickels were found decades after they were minted, discovered in old coin rolls, coin jars, or collections that hadn't been closely examined. The joy of finding a rare error in common change adds a real sense of adventure to numismatics. As more collectors share their discoveries and auction houses continue to spotlight dramatic error coins, awareness and demand remain strong. In the end, the 1974 U.S. Monticello Jefferson nickel error coins demonstrate how a simple production anomaly can elevate a humble nickel to a significant collectible. With auction results from about $60,450 to $142,250. These coins exemplify how rarity, condition, and the type of error all contribute to value. For those willing to look closely at what might otherwise seem like ordinary pocket change, hidden treasures still await discovery in the world of error coin collecting. The 2006 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel is often overlooked by casual collectors because it is a modern coin and appears very common. However, within this issue exists a small number of rare error coins that have created tremendous interest among specialized collectors. While a standard 2006 D. Jefferson nickel without errors is worth face value or, at most, a few dollars in uncirculated condition, the error examples can bring prices from $45,120 to as much as $120,790 at major auctions, highlighting a stark contrast in value. Understanding the difference between a normal coin and an error coin is essential for anyone exploring modern minting mistakes. A typical 2006 D. Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson's portrait on the obverse and the Monticello building on the reverse. Coins without errors are struck with consistent alignment, sharp lettering, and a clean design. Collectors often overlook these coins because they were minted in the hundreds of millions at the Denver Mint, making them extremely common in circulation. Even uncirculated examples hold minimal value, rarely exceeding a few dollars. This abundance is why any noticeable error dramatically increases the coin's desirability and price point. One of the most sought-after error types is the off-center strike. This occurs when the planchet is misaligned during the strike, causing part of the design to be missing. A mild off-center strike may only be worth a few $100s, but a significant misalignment where the date and major elements remain visible can command prices well into the five-figure range. 2006 Jefferson nickel with a bold off-center strike sold for approximately $45,120, attracting attention from collectors who assumed modern nickels could not reach such values. Double strikes are another error that dramatically enhances a coin's value. In these cases, the coin is struck more than once, often with a slight rotation or shift between strikes, creating a ghosted or overlapping design. On a 2006 nickel, this might show as a doubled Monticello building or a distorted portrait of Jefferson. Strong double-struck examples of this coin have sold for around $61,500, demonstrating how appealing visually striking errors are to collectors. Broad strike errors are also noteworthy. When a coin is struck without the retaining collar, the metal spreads outward, resulting in a coin that is wider than normal, sometimes missing the raised rim entirely. These coins stand out immediately and are highly collectible. 2006 Jefferson nickel broadstrike in excellent condition sold at auction for $72,650, far exceeding the typical value of a standard nickel. This type of error shows how a small minting mishap can completely transform a mundane coin into a high-demand collectible. Strike-through errors are another category that adds value. These occur when foreign material, such as grease, cloth, or small metal fragments, gets between the die and the coin during striking. The result is a coin with weakly struck or missing areas. Each strike-through is unique, which makes them particularly desirable. A 2006 Jefferson nickel with a prominent strike-through across the Monticello and Jefferson's portrait realized $81,200 in a specialized auction, reflecting the strong collector demand for these unique examples. Wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and highly valuable. These happen when a nickel design is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or composition. Because the U.S. Mint enforces strict quality control, these coins are scarce, and when authenticated, they fetch impressive prices. A certified 2006 Jefferson nickel struck on an incorrect planchet sold for $98,400, illustrating how a single production error can transform a coin into a sought-after rarity. Combination errors are particularly desirable for collectors. Coins that exhibit multiple errors, such as an off-center strike combined with a double strike or a strike-through, are extraordinarily rare. One example of a 2006 Jefferson nickel showing both a bold off-center strike and evidence of a strike-through brought $120,790 at a major auction. These combination error coins are so unique that they become the centerpiece of a modern error coin collection, demonstrating how multiple mistakes can compound a coin's value. Comparing error coins to standard coins emphasizes their importance. A regular 2006 nickel is plentiful and holds minimal value, even in pristine uncirculated condition. By contrast, error coins are scarce, visually striking, and highly desirable. Their rarity, combined with the story behind the minting mistake, drives intense collector demand. The market clearly favors bold, easily identifiable errors over minor or subtle flaws, which rarely command high prices. Auction results further demonstrate this trend. Coins with dramatic errors consistently achieve higher results than those with lighter or less noticeable mistakes. Major auction houses provide authentication, professional photography, and detailed descriptions, building confidence and encouraging aggressive bidding. In several high-profile auctions, 2006 Jefferson nickels with prominent off-center strikes, double strikes, and combination errors achieved prices from $45,120 up to $120,790, illustrating just how valuable these modern mistakes can be. Condition plays a critical role in determining final prices. An error coin with heavy wear will typically bring less than a sharp, well-preserved coin with strong luster and crisp details. For modern coins like the 2006 Jefferson nickel, uncirculated or near-uncirculated error examples can command the highest prices, showing that collectors value not only the rarity of the mistake but also the quality of the coin itself. The excitement around error coins like these lies partly in the potential to still discover them. Since 2006 is relatively recent, many nickels from that year remain in circulation, coin jars, and personal collections. Stories of collectors finding valuable errors while sorting change continue to circulate, keeping interest high in these coins and fueling ongoing searches. Professional grading and certification are essential for coins of this caliber. Auction results consistently show that certified coins bring substantially higher prices than uncertified ones. Collectors and buyers prefer the assurance that the error is genuine and has been accurately described. For the 2006 D. Jefferson nickel, most coins achieving prices over $100,000 were professionally graded, which adds credibility and increases auction excitement. The 2006 D. Jefferson nickel error coins demonstrate that extraordinary value is not limited to old or antique coins. Modern coins, even those from 2006, can hold immense worth if they exhibit clear and dramatic errors. With documented sales ranging from $45,120 to $120,790, these nickels have proven that even everyday coins can become remarkable collectibles with the right mistake. For collectors, the 2006 D. Jefferson nickel is a perfect example of how modern coins can hold extraordinary value. The dramatic differences between a standard nickel, worth mere cents, and a rare error coin, selling for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, highlight the importance of careful observation and knowledge of error types. Off-center strikes, double strikes, broad strikes, strike-throughs, wrong planchets, and combination errors all contribute to the desirability of these coins, making them highly sought after in auctions and private sales. Collectors and enthusiasts alike recognize that even coins minted only a few decades ago can harbor unexpected treasures. A standard 2006 D. Jefferson nickel might sit unnoticed in a drawer, while a dramatic error example can become the highlight of a collection, commanding attention and impressive prices at every auction it appears in. This is the enduring appeal of rare modern error coins. They turn ordinary pocket change into a fascinating hunt for scarcity, rarity, and potential profit.